He was a key member of the 1968-69 team that is known to be one of the best in Big Five history. The team finished the season 23-1, ranked number 2 in the AP Top 25 poll. Dunphy led the Explorers in assists. He averaged 18.6 points per game as a senior, and he went on to an illustrious coaching career that included 2 stints as an assistant coach here at LaSalle. Dunphy landed at Penn, where he would go on to become the winningest head coach in programming history. Over 17 years, his Quaker teams amassed 310 games, 10 Ivy League regular season titles, including 5 undefeated campaigns, 9 NCAA tournament appearances. In 2006, Dunphy took over as head coach at Temple for the legendary coach John Cheney. He won 270 games, advanced to 8 NCAA tournaments in 13 years, and was named Conference Coach of the Year 4 times during his tenure. All told, Coach Dunphy went 580 and 325 for a 641 winning percentage over 30 seasons as a head coach. Dunphy was previously been inducted into the Penn Athletics, Philadelphia Big Five, and Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, and was a recipient of an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degree at LaSalle University's commencement ceremony in May 2021. Men's basketball head coach Ashley Howard had this to say about Fran Dunphy. He is the ultimate ambassador for Philadelphia basketball and LaSalle University. Coach Dunphy's playing and career speaks for itself. He is a champion. Coach's impact as a humanitarian and champion for Coaches versus Cancer will live just as long as the banners he has placed in the rafters of LaSalle, Penn, and Temple. Fran's commitment to providing access to education both in the classroom and on the court signifies his LaSallian roots. We are all better for having known Fran Dunphy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my part-time broadcast partner, the great coach, Fran Dunphy.
Thank you, Kale. I appreciate it. I would have appreciated it a little bit more if you had let me go before Jill. That was awesome. Just awesome, really. Great words and tremendous delivery. To be admired, to be honest with you. So thank you. Thanks to everybody for being here, and congrats to Jill and Renee and Joe. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see Renee perform and Jill perform. And Joe, I did, because we were around the same era. Joe had a hell of a career and has done great things after it as well. So a couple weeks ago, I guess it was now, that Ash and Kale came to see me, or we met for breakfast actually, and told me that they wanted me to have this honor. And I think oftentimes you're taken aback a little bit, and so I'm humbled and I'm honored to be named to the Hall of Athletes. Many great players, and probably some that aren't in would deserve it more than I, but I'm grateful for it. So like anything else, when you close your day, at the end of the day, how did I do today? Did I do a good job? Am I worthy? Did I talk to this person the right way? Did I do the best job that I could at every given day? And so again, you ask yourself that question. Did I do enough? Well, there are many others who are more deserving than I. And for me, because it's my game, that's my game, is to kind of give credit somewhere else. It's not the most comfortable situation to be honored or talked about. I'd much rather have it be somebody else. As I said, and there was a nice article in the paper today, and I appreciate it. I appreciate Ryan Ventrella. He did a really good job with that. And one of my statements in there was just, and this is what I'd like to say today, LaSalle gave me much more than I gave it. And like anything else in life, Richie Tarr and I talked about this a little bit, all we're trying to do is have somebody give us a chance. Just give me a chance, and I'll do the best that I can with it. And LaSalle gave me a chance a number of times. They gave me a chance as a student and an athlete. Thanks to Joe Heyer, who was in charge of the basketball program at that time, and his relationship with Dan Doherty, who was my high school basketball coach, I got a chance to go to LaSalle. I'm grateful to those two guys for giving me that opportunity. When you're given these recognitions, so the first thing I think about, my emotions will go. I didn't think I would be like this, but I probably will. And that's another thing I want to say to you. Your vulnerability of telling your story, there's such power and such leadership in that vulnerability. I'm just, again, proud of you for everything you've done. But you think about your parents, they were just taught us how to get along, how to be good to others, how to make things right as best you could. So you think of them. You think my brother and 2 sisters are here. I think of them and their support that they've given me over the years. I am grateful to I'm leading. Here I am leading again by being vulnerable. My wife and son for putting up with me along the way, because you're not there. You're not there enough. I'm hoping that I was a good husband and a good father. Did I create the proper work-life balance that we talk about? When I get in the classroom, we talk about it all the time, work-life balance, and we never strike it. If you're nutty like me, and like others, we don't strike it. Was I fair? I hope. I'm thankful to friends and teammates along the way. A couple guys came from a pretty good distance. I had one of my teammates, Ed Chesney, who's here from the basketball side of things. And we had a fabulous victory in his last year of playing, my second to last year of playing as a junior against Villanova. We ain't beaten Villanova without Ches coming in there and rescuing all of us. So I'm grateful for Ches. I just had great respect for the Christian Brothers and what they did for me. There was a time in 2004 I was struggling of what to do. And I got pretty close to Brother Mike. And Brother Mike helped me immeasurably. I'm grateful for that. Just grateful for that opportunity that he gave to me. I had a real important relationship with one of the Christian brothers who was here at the time. He was the director of our senior apartments. We're right across the street here. Brother T.J. Donaghy, who became a diocesan priest, Father Thomas Donaghy, who actually baptized our son. And I would call him, I would say every 2 weeks, either I'm at Penn or I'm at Temple on my way home, about a half-hour driving home, and it would take that long to get the wisdom that I needed to have. Just, again, every 2 weeks. If it went a month, I was bothered a little bit. And we'd have just good conversation. And the spiritual side of things, I don't think I'm the most religious man that I know, but I hope I'm spiritual. I hope I think about things that really are important in my lifetime, and I would get a lot of spiritual help from him. Now, invariably, these conversations would end with, "What are you having for supper?" And I would say to him, "Donaghy, who says supper? This is like 2015. Who says supper?" And he said, "Well, I'm sure your wife will have something important on the table for you when you go to supper. Yeah, and maybe she'll let me sit in the parlor and eat." But it was cool. It was just cool to talk to him, and just grateful for what he gave to me. He reminded me of finding my peace, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'm grateful to have been a member of the spring 1969 baseball team. A couple guys are here, Bob Barrett, Tom Anderson, who I don't know that I played with in that year, but and most importantly, Bill Bradshaw, who has been a great friend and a great help to me, a mentor in many ways as well. So, and I don't know that I saw, and Barrett could probably say it more than me, but I don't know that the guy hit anything but line drives for the year that I played baseball with him. Just a terrific player and somebody that I admired for his way of playing baseball as well. And it was a group that I could always count on to bust my butt every single day. However, nobody was going to give me more support if I needed it as well. And that is, as Jill was talking about, being a teammate and being a friend and somebody that these guys I admired because we just had fun. It was fantastic, really. I'd say over the last 50 years, I've thought about my career at LaSalle. And I appreciated the bond. There's a bonding that goes on being on a team. There's nothing quite like that. You never lose that. I wish that I had Bernie Williams and Roland Taylor, Kenny Durrett here today, or living today, because those guys, they taught us all. They taught us what it was like to be a teammate. They understood how important their roles were here at LaSalle at that time. We got coached in my sophomore year by a guy named Jim Harding, who was unbelievably difficult to play for. I'm here to tell you, he was difficult to play for. But he laid this foundation that allowed us to be even better in the next 2 years. So the fundamentals were drilled inside of us, and we then got coached by Tom Gola later, and he gave us the freedom that now let us just go and be the best team we could be. But without Harding, who got a lot of heat, and he was tough to play for, I will tell you for sure. But he laid that great foundation, and I'm grateful for that. And we had a magical year in that next year. That 68-69 season was magical. And I oftentimes think about it, and it was okay to lose that game to South Carolina, because it made us even better, made us even a stronger team. Could we have beaten UCLA? And in our minds, we could. We could do anything. Could we have beaten Lou Alcindor? Well, maybe we could have. Maybe we could have. Maybe they would have put me on Lou. I'd have jumped up there and tried to block his stuff. But I was privileged to be on that team. I mean, it was an amazing time, an amazing opportunity for all of us to remain friends for the next 50 years. We think about it often. That bond is critical for us to be good teammates. There was total buy-in, by the way. We all thought of how we were going to be great, and some of us were greater than others. But total buy-in. And again, we cared about our team. Just tell a quick story if I could. In that year, we played Detroit at the Palestra. It was later in the year. We're playing, Detroit has got Spencer Haywood, who was maybe the best player in the country that year. The score of the game, and it was the one game I didn't get into in my junior year, and I'm sure I was disappointed, but I had the best seat in the house of watching just unbelievable basketball going on. So Larry Cannon had 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 11 assists. That was his line for the game. Bernie Williams had 29 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. That was his line. Kenny Durrett was one of the lower numbers for his career, 19 points and 13 rebounds. However, and the score was 98-96. There wasn't a lot of seemingly defense played in there, but it was awesome. No three-point shot, none of that stuff. Spencer Haywood, 41 points, 32 rebounds. Unbelievable game. And here's the problem. I would love to have seen that game again on film, but there's no film of those days. Of that particular game would have been awesome. The technology, and speaking of the technology there, Kenny Durrett the next year, blows his knee out. That guy would have been a 15-year pro, would have had an unbelievable career. We just didn't have the technology in those days. And then LaSalle continued to give to me again. Lefty Irvin gave me a chance to be an assistant coach in the 79-80 season. I'll talk about that in a second as well. So I coached with Lefty as my first year in coaching, my first year in the college game, Lefty's first year here, and Lefty's last year. And I appreciate Lefty for what he gave to me. It was LaSalle, but it was Lefty Irvin. And then Speedy Morris gave Joe Mihalik and I an opportunity to stay on the staff, just in a fabulous opportunity for the next 2 years. And I got a chance to coach some really good people. Some of them are here today. Richie, Bobby. Then they gave me another chance of being most recently a partner with Cale on the broadcast here of the ESPN Plus. It's fun. somebody said, are you enjoying it? Yeah, the games go by like in an instant, so I must be enjoying the hell out of myself, and I am. It's fun. And then they really gave me the ultimate honor, in all honesty, of being the commencement speaker for graduation of the class of 2020, which didn't happen until 2021, but it was fun there too. And I'm very grateful for having that opportunity. What an honor that was. When I was asked by Cale and Ash to be honored in this way, I again was humbled by it. And there's only one thing greater than, if you're humble, I think you're attractive to people. People want to hang around with you. And the only thing that should supersede your humility is your humanity. And we really got to do more for others. Each and every day we need to do more. Again, do you do enough? Can I do more? Of course you can. Of course you can. But then I thought about Cale and Ash giving me this opportunity, and I have looked up onto the sit on that front row of the game. I look and see these 5 names up there, these 5 banners that are sort of on the wall. Tom Gola. I got a chance to play for Tom Gola for 2 years. Larry Cannon. I got a chance to play with him for 2 years. Kenny Durrett. Had a chance to play with him for 2 years. Michael Brooks. I had a chance to coach him for a year. Lionel Simmons, who is a basketball savant when you would watch him play. It was beautiful to watch. The things that he did, the things that he accomplished. And here's 5 guys that were superhuman on the court and purely humane off the court. They were just good people. Great LaSallian values, great people for this institution to be very, very proud of. And I certainly was very proud to be a part of that team and the team of whoever was coaching as a head coach, or just be partners with those guys in Cannon and Durrett, and be coached by Gola, and have a moment to see Michael Brooks, who never, ever had to think about playing hard. He just did. And Lionel was a genius. And again, LaSalle taught me to discover my peace in my family, discover my peace in my friends, discover my peace in my work, and again, discover the peace that you get when you build these relationships, wherever it is that you toil. I want to tell one last story if I can, and this involves another LaSalle guy, and I've told this story probably 100 times, and I'm probably going to tell it another 500 before I get out of my life. It involves Joe Mihalik, another great LaSalle guy. So I'm going to make this as quick as I can. So he's coming down to coach against Drexel, and I can't go to the game, but this is a couple years ago. Can't go to the game, but I go to practice, his shoot-around before the game. So I watched the practice. It was unbelievably well done. He did a great job in preparing his team. So I say to him at the end of practice, I said, Joe, who's your best leader? And he said, of course, it's this kid, Deshore Bowie. I want you to meet him. And Deshore, he calls Deshore over, and he runs over. He doesn't saunter over, he runs over, and it's just an awesome kid right away, you could tell. And just a couple minutes later, he goes away, and he starts shooting his jump shots. So I said, Joe, that kid's a really good kid. And he said, wait till I tell you this story. 6 weeks before that, they brought in a mental health and wellness expert, and I think we need more of that in all of our lives, to be honest with you, but certainly in the athletic world as well. So this presenter comes in, and it's a huge lecture hall. The lecture was for all of the student athletes, all of the coaches, and much of the administration. Big lecture hall, a couple hundred people. So he starts his lecture, and toward the end of it, he says, okay, now we're really going to get serious. And the gentleman says, is there anybody in here who's thought about taking their own life? Interesting process there. All the way on this side of the room, this young man stands up and very courageously says, you know what, I have absolutely considered taking my life. With that, all the way on this side. All the way on this side, Deshore Bowie plays for Joe Mihalik, his best player. stands up, walks all the way down, walks in front of the stage, all the way up to face this young man over here who's struggling. And he looks at him for probably 3 seconds, seemingly like 3 minutes. He then proceeds to give this kid the biggest hug you ever saw. And with that, the presenter says, "Oh, you two guys know each other?" And Deshura Bowie turns around and says, "No, we've never met, but we're going to be friends from now on." That sense of empathy, if there's something greater than that, and again, I want to tell it every time I get a chance, to the kids that I teach, to the kids that I coach, to the groups that I talk to, wherever it is, if I'm at a business thing, I got to do a business thing on Monday. I'm talking about Joe Mihalik's guy, Deshura Bowie. How does this happen? How does this happen? That he'd have this much understanding of what life is really all about. So, to me, I'm not sure there's a more LaSallian guy than Joe Mihalik, to be quite honest with you. His father taught here, his father-in-law ran the night school. Just, wife is a LaSalle person. And the goodness that he has led him to Deshura Bowie, in all honesty. And that's the thing that I try to get across to all these kids all the time, to my son as well. There's stuff going on around you every single day. Be aware. Bring it in. Understand it. Try to get a hold of it, because there's great things going on. Are there crazy stuff? Yeah, there is. But there's a lot of really good people out there that do a lot of really good work, that care much for others. We should be doing that every single day. So I'm grateful for this. Again, I wish you would have put me before Jill, and I can't wait to hear Renee and Joe as well, because they will be just as excellent as Jill. But thank you. Thanks to LaSalle. Thank you for allowing me those values of being humble, being humane, and again, appreciate my family, Cousin Joe, Cousin Liz. It's great. It's great stuff. We have so much good to celebrate and be around every day. So, LaSalle, thank you.